We're live, Mr. Chairman.
Good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. Welcome to this, our 295th edition of Belizean Affairs. Sitting with me virtually as my co-host is my good cousin Mr. Leonard Brackett, as well as Mr. Roody Wade, who will join us shortly. With that says, I go to Mr. Brackett as usual for our prayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to sit with you tonight again on this platform. And we hope that whatever we bring to the public, it may be of some positive public benefit to them. And thank you also for allowing me the privilege to say the prayer for tonight. I'll bow my head. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would continue to be merciful unto us, that thou would continue to give us wisdom, knowledge, understanding, perseverance, protection, that thou would grant us fortitude and strength in order to speak truth to power when there is a need to do so. We pray that thou must continue to bless our family members and friends and loved ones, each and every one of them, thou knowest them by name and number. Please continue to bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, and also this country of the United States, its people and leadership. Please bless also those people who are in harm's way in wars and tornado and fire and all kind of disasters, loving Father. Please have mercy upon them too. And those people who have need of food and clothes and shelter, please provide for them as well. For we ask these mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
Uh,
Mr. Wade is not here, so I will go to you to do a short reading.
yes, sir. Let's see. Ezekiel. Uh, let's see. I think I was trying to read Ezekiel here, and I'm trying to find. Okay, so I'm going to read Ezekiel chapter 35, starting at verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount C. I don't know how to pronounce that particular name. It's a Seir, but it has some accentuation there. I'm not too sure. And prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. So basically, that was a curse that was being prophesied against that mountain for whatever reason at the time. I don't know if tonight's program is going to be a curse against our government at this point because we have been giving them warning. We have been, not that we are any prophets or anything of that nature, but at least we knew what we were talking about all the while. We gave the right counseling on behalf of our country and patrimony, and we were not heeded. So we did our job. It's somebody else's job now to do the rest. And so I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. To open tonight's show, I would like to go to a video, and it is very important, people at home and abroad. It's very important that you listen to this video because it carries its weight of burden to help people that are being penalized and persecuted all over the world.
How are your human rights protected? The European Convention on Human Rights includes freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, right to life, liberty, equality, family life, right to a fair trial, freedom of religion, property, privacy, slavery and human trafficking, torture and ill-treatment. These rights are best protected in our own countries. But when there are problems, the European Court of Human Rights provides a safety net. What happens if I think my human rights have been violated? If I have taken my case through the national courts, but I still don't think justice has been done, I can turn to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. If the court rules in my favour, I can get justice, possibly including compensation. Governments also have to make sure the same problem doesn't happen again. Over 17,000 judgments have been put into practice. This has changed people's lives in many different ways across the whole continent. All this for around 10.
Again, good night to you, the people at home and abroad. And tonight, we want to look at the state of emergency and how we have got to where we are at after we and this platform here in Belizean Affair has been steadily speaking about the bastardization of our Constitution and how Section 18 of our Constitution is being misused as a tool to fight crime instead of what it was put there for.
Mhm.
With that said, I will go to you first, Mr. Brackett.
Um, Thank you very much, sir. As you rightfully pointed out, our Constitution is there to protect us, to guard against any nefarious or devious leaders that would come about from being able to take advantage of the plebiscite or the people in the country without the people having a resort to some measure of protection. And in regards to Section 18, as you had pointed out, we have been on this platform and before then, at least for about 2+ years now, pointing out to our government that these SOE are unconstitutional, the way they would try to implement them, and they also fell short of the prescripts and criteria established by the Constitution that would validate them as being legitimate. An SOE cannot be just declared verbally at the seat of the pants without necessarily meeting the compliance and the rules and regulations and prescripts of the Constitution that mandates how an SOE could come about, because an SOE allows the government to override on a temporary basis, by the way, not permanently or for no long period of time, but it gives them an opportunity to deal with emergency security and national interest affair. Whereas our current and past governments have attempted to use those powers to gain the excess authority to cover them for their shortcomings and their misbehavior. And then they send out the police officers them to basically go and be a goon squad against the whole society or the sections of the society where those SOE are placed. When in fact the police have more than enough powers vested in them currently under the present laws to deal with just about anyone in the country that falls afoul of the law. So there's no justification for them to try and grab onto those excess powers to go out there and do wrong to civilians who have nothing to do with the criminals that are causing the problem. Nobody is ever telling the government not to deal with the criminals. As a matter of fact, that's what we have been advocating for the longest. Go out there and do your job. Deal with the criminals the way they are supposed to be dealt with. Leave your society alone. Unless your society is up in arms against you, there's no justifiable reason for you to try and fight back on them to say, well, you want to remain as their leader if they don't want you to be their leader. And that's the only time when you'd find that our society rise up and you have revolutions in country or they're trying to overthrow the government by devious or nefarious ways. But other than that, there's no reason for the government to try and grab onto any excess powers to try and muscle no one to stay in power. That's an abrogation of their responsibility and an overreach in regards to the power vested in them that the plebiscite on the people grant to them. It's only in authoritarian dictatorship republics that we have that kind of stuff. And now we have all local leaders trying to pretend that, okay, well, they want to emulate or mirror Mr. Bukele because they like how he does his job. Belize is not San Salvador or El Salvador. If they want to behave that kind of way, all right, go live over there, and then help Mr. Bukele over there. But there's no justification for them to bastardize our system to try and force it to become like what Mr. Bukele have. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
Welcome, sir.
And just to clarify what you are saying, people at home and abroad, we are speaking about two different countries. One that is a republic and one that is a democratic.
Exactly.
And as a democratic country, our constitutional right is enshrined in the Belizean Constitution, Section 3 through 19, which is protected by judicial review. And in me saying this, let's hear what the Deputy Prime Minister had to say a while back about state of emergencies.
And I beg them publicly.
On principle, I don't like state of emergencies. And for practical purposes, I don't either. Because the truth of the matter is you're isolating the very people you need to cooperate with the police to curb crime. It's a broad sweep, a kind of big roundup that of all and sundry, including innocent people. Because the truth of the matter is 60, 70 people that you round up are not going to go together to kill anyone, to commit any crime. So you're really taking up innocence in that process too. Innocent people are being rounded up. Also, within those 50, 60 people that you are dealing with, so can you imagine how their families feel, their children feel, their friends, the community? They're really pissed. They're isolating them, And in Leka, it's a difficult process for us because not everyone commits crime. Not everyone is involved in that. And every time you do a state of emergency in our communities, you're really stigmatizing us. You're really stereotyping our people. And if you do that, then who's going to want to come invest? Who's going to want to come live there? Who's going to want to engage with our communities? So we really have to think long and hard before we go to that level. Like that has to be an absolute last resort. You cannot just willy-nilly decide, okay, we're tired of this. These guys are not listening. We're going to have a state of emergency. That has to be our last resort, man. And the people at Lake Independence are the best we have in the country, brother. Right?
So people at home and abroad, that is what the Deputy Prime Minister had to say. And I will go straight to you, Mr. Wade. Welcome.
Thank you.
To our 295th edition. You're always highly appreciated, sir. I go to you to hear your input and what the Deputy Prime Minister had to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's always a pleasure to sit with you guys. I I am late, but better late than never. So, but again, thanks for for the effort, and it's a pleasure to be in your company. I listened to that, and it's not the first time I listened to that guy there, Mr. Cordell Hyde. The air representative for Lake I. He speaks with two sides of his mouth because he is part and parcel of the past and present state of emergency. He's part and parcel of that. But now he is realizing that, it is wrong what they're doing. And it's not everybody subscribe to that. And it's not the right way about going about doing a state of emergency. It seems that guy is missing the real essence here. The essence is that we have a constitution, man, right? He should have a lot of them, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, they're straying away from the constitution, as what the law of this land is saying.
Because they want to change it.
Yes, they did. So when these guys talk, and you wonder what kind of a people are these guys, right? He should outrightly denounce the illegal SOEs that have been passing in this country. Mr. Chairman, and we have sit on this platform before, and we state our disgust about the way they go about doing these things, right? So here you come again. It's the same thing. I remember when he was in opposition. I just to show away from a little point. Oh yeah, he spoke with different people and different group. Oh yeah, it's so bad and this and that, and but give him the chance and he will make it right. He will make it right. And our land, we shouldn't be going about having problem getting lands, because the land is for the Belizean people, and they shouldn't have all that problem and this and that. And the very same thing he was talking publicly, he goes against, right? But yet, I can't understand, right, how these guys, the level of intelligence, right, and they think that every time they utter something is because they use politics, right? It's political motivated. Instead of his sit Briseno down and tell him and the rest of them that sit in those meetings that they say, well, come up to declare an SOE. Instead of this, he says the same thing that he utter out of his mouth. He should say it in front of them in that meeting before he gets to this where it's at, right? But as for me, I've always said, and we have always said in our shows, past and present now, and we continue to say that it is illegal. What they are doing is against our constitution. It's not the right way to do it, right? It's not. The country has not gotten to that extent for a state of emergency. I know what a state of emergency is. I've been on the first state of emergency in the 70s in this country. State of emergency. It was called the right way. The right way. Not because the gang them they kill up each other and whatever is their problem now. No, it was the right way as per the constitution. Nobody had anything to say or any gripe because it was done the right way. And here you have a Governor General, Mr. Chairman, and Leonard, that should have some attorney advising her. You can't sign it, You can't sign this SOE, because it's wrong. It's illegal. But no, what they do? What they do? Did you hear them questioning the SOE, Mr. Chairman, to present? No. You send this letter for me to sign this constitution, this state of emergency to sign. man, I will not sign it because it's illegal, it's X, Y, and Z. You shouldn't do it. But you don't hear them doing that,
Mhm.
right? So I call, I'll say it, I'll make it short. I call on all those who have been affected by the UDP illegal SOEs and the PUP illegal SOEs. I call on all of them to take them to court because it was wrong what they did, right? So, I hope that many more, is in line and sue past and present. Well, they got to sue this government now. Sue them. Take them to court. Exercise your God-given right? So, Mr. Chairman, it's so sad to see how these people, come publicly and they say one thing and they mean something else. So,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you, Mr. Wade.
You know,
But
Mr.
to
Chairman?
you, the people at home and abroad,
Sorry.
with what my co-host, Mr. Wade, has just said, which is reality, and I will go to you, Mr. Brackett, but because here and Belizean affair we show and tell, I don't want it to be a one-sided thing when one of our hosts come up and say the Deputy Prime Minister had said more than what he said. And he's not doing enough to make sure that it does not go unnoticed. Because what you are seeing is the honest truth. And so when these things are said, we need to bring them to the public so they can see for themselves what is happening.
We have to continue with the mediation. I'm a big William Dawson Jr. fan. I believe we have to give him and his people his support to mediate and get things done. Ultimately, we have to do a better job as a government of pooling our resources, integrating our efforts, unifying our efforts across the ministries that can impact positively our youths, whether it is to make sure they go to school, make sure they can get a piece of land, make sure they can get a decent house, make sure they can get a little job, make sure they have access to proper health care. That's all our people want. Our people from the south side aren't different from other people across the country. It's a fundamental lack of understanding what our people have been through. And when you begin to understand what our people have been through, then you will understand that people want the same things. They want to make sure that their children succeed. They want to make sure that they go to school, finish school. They want to make sure they get a piece of land, they get a decent house, they have access to health care. We want the same things. So it's about the opportunities and ensuring that we accentuate our efforts. And so I think we started, but there's no overnight solution. There's no fly-by-night operation that's going to fix everything. But ultimately, it's about the mediation efforts in the immediate and making sure that we work with the kids who want to change. We work with the folks who want to go to school, who want to change their life, who want to be something. And for those who don't want to go that route, then we have to strengthen our legal system to address those folks.
I go to you, Mr. Brackett, because here we have the Deputy Prime Minister specifying and stating the same thing that we have said. The present government has a super majority to legislate any law to curb crime, and they are not doing it, even though there's already laws on the book to prevent it. I go to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would like to skew our present point of perspective that we are at right now just a little bit and bring up a specific critical point. That is that even though these young men, some of them, the court has ruled, not only here in Belize, but in Jamaica as well and other parts of the Caribbean. So we're in a position now where our government has to pay attention, not only to us, as we have been demanding of them, but of the system. The law itself is now telling them, the legal system is now telling them that they have gone amok. They need to straighten up. But my concern is, I'm happy that some of the young man might end up getting a settlement, maybe not in a hurry, because the way our governments operate is that maybe this present PUP government might stall and stall and stall until maybe another term or another 2 term, or maybe until the UDP come in, and then they are left it to make the UDP have to find a way to pay for it, like what the UDP may left unpaid bills for the PUP to come in and have to find money to pay it. That's how these suckers, they operate. They're not law abiding. They're all scoff laws. Otherwise, they wouldn't be found in that kind of awkward situation for our local courts have to rule to tell them, stop the bastardization of the Constitution, stop take advantage of the basic civilians and their human rights and basic rights. And now they order them to pay some money for the time that they spend in jail, as well as for. And then some people are acting up now and saying, well, they feel jealous that they want to go in jail and they was in jail, and are classified as criminal because it's a classification. It's not that the people are really criminal, all of them that they pick up. They just classify them under the same over the old blanket of the SOE. So some of them get money, and some who don't get no money, who never gone to jail or whenever involved with the problem, they don't feel jealous and want to know how come the ones that went to jail are not going to get some money. They never going to work, but they still can afford to live and survive. The bottom line is I'm beyond that point. I'm concerned as to whether or not those charges, in fact, some of them never got no charges levied against them. But having been in jail, to justify keeping them or sending them to jail, they were given a rap sheet, some of which had no merits at all. Who is going to clean up those parts of the individual rap sheet? Some of them might have been real criminals for all we know, or maybe they had been in the legal system or the court system and probably have genuine records. But who is going to clean up the records that are not genuine? The superimposed, malicious, devious SOE records. Because they can't travel abroad with any kind of records. They can't get a job. So my concern, like I said, a little bit on the side would be about whether or not they're going to clean up them people in the record to the extent that they will take away the fault or the superimposed fault on them. In other words, get rid of the evil that they did, the wrongs that they did, and make these people whole not only just with the money, but in terms of the long-term records as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. People at home and
Welcome,
abroad,
sir.
we have sat here and tried to educate you on our Constitution the right way. We have called it out when it is being bastardized by past and present government. It has started from Oceania. It went all the way to Mr. Feinstein. And now here we go. If you can recall, the present government established that the PCC Act also having a referendum act when they fully knew that Belize has only one constitution
At the
and they
time.
know how laws are made. It goes into reading and then is sent to the GG to be assented. But the bastardization of the Constitution keeps happening from since then. Because at no time can I ever recall Belize having two constitutions with two different referendum acts. We have
But
seen how the
Mr. Chairman,
government.
Mr. Chairman, on that point, before we move on that point about us having two constitutions, we never ever had two constitutions. We have always had one constitution, but they, the Prime Minister and the Attorney General, have spoken to that matter and implied that yes, they had to they had to bastardize the present constitution because they set in motion the PCC Act, which according to them had some legal or lawful power behind it, other than the fact that they and the legislator create the document that empowers that organization to get some money out of the treasury. That's as far as that went. That particular
Mr.
issue
Brackett,
had no legal merits until it is passed in the House as a change to the Constitution.
the
And then they were able to
only
react it. So they were bamboozling and
legal
lying.
merit, sir,
They were lying from the
the
get-go.
only legal merit the PCC Act has and had was to educate the public and the Constitution and nothing more.
Which they never did.
So
We have done more education than they have.
don't let anyone fool you people
Those
at
are,
home
those
and
are lies.
abroad,
There's always a lie.
because Belize has one constitution. And again, they have gone and violated it again by acquiring private property and eminent domain for private investors, foreign investors. We have seen how the same government who is trying to teach the people constitution education turn around, and when these people presented it to them in the form of the redistricting, the government came out on national TV and said they are attacking them. Now imagine, the people is attacking them who is standing up for their fundamental right to equality in redistricting. And then we move by that. And here we have, yet the government continue to bastardize the Constitution. Not too long ago, we have heard the Prime Minister on a morning show talking about changing the name of the state of emergency. And we find that he did went ahead with it. But let's go to the tape and hear it
Mr.
from
Chairman,
his mouth.
Mr. Chairman, before you do that, before you get there, the man said that he wanted to change and find a new name, but the assembly had not met and reacted to that and put no new name to replace the SOE. So they went to the Governor General and had an ascension for an SOE. And then now they come out and they try to tell us, well, it's a different name and it's a different thing. It's not a real SOE. So because they're tired of them getting flagged by us and others. But changing the name and carrying on the same behavior amounts to the same issue. I yield back, so I'm sorry for
Thank
jumping
you,
in.
Mr.
I
Brackett.
just couldn't let that pass.
All inputs are of vital importance to show the people at home and abroad how long we have been beating this dead horse, and it's beginning to come to light that what is in the dark must come to light. Let's hear what the Prime Minister has to say.
And while he made no mention of the teachers protesting around the Serednikane building, he couldn't ignore the other elephant in the room, which is the fact that even during this ceremonial event, portions of the country are under a state of emergency.
On advice of the government, Her Excellency the Governor General declared a state of emergency on Tuesday, 6 May 2025. On advice of the government, Her Excellency the Governor General declared a state of emergency on Tuesday, 6 May 2025. This draconian measure was necessary to wage war on the criminal elements in our society. The intra-gang wars that kill Belizeans, that spread fear through otherwise peaceful neighborhoods and communities, which threatens our way of life, must be defeated. My government intends to take every step needed to excise this cancer. The good must not suffer for the bad, and we must call it what it is, not a state of emergency, but a gang intervention period.
It's a notable change in terminology, clearly meant to sanitize and normalize such states of emergency. And for the first time in 3 weeks since the hijacking, the
Mr.
No,
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, wait, make a flag that idiot, man. Didn't the man say it's not a state of emergency? But then in the beginning, he said the Governor General has assented to a state of emergency. Exactly what I said before you start playing the tape. Is the man senile or just stupid? Or you think we don't have no, maybe he really believe that we don't have no talents for truth. But are
Mr.
you back, Mr.
Brackett,
Chairman?
thank you for that input, but I can take it a bit further. If you recall many a nights on this platform where we sit virtually, I have again stated about executive power. And here we have the Prime Minister. We are living in a democratic country. We are not a republic as yet. Here we have the Prime Minister using executive power to try to change the name of a state of emergency that was assented by a representative of the state. So the Prime Minister is putting himself higher than the GG who represent the head of state. And that is why I always ask the question, and again tonight, we the people who don't know the Constitution need to know what the doctrine of separation of powers is, because it's a part of the Constitution and it makes up the basic structure that protects your fundamental right. And to make it even clearer so you the people can understand, the police department and the Prime Minister of Belize were not elected as legislators, and they have no power over the legislators to bring into effect any name other than that which was assented to. And just by doing that, in the beginning of the Constitution, it tells you what should happen. Any law that is inconsistent with this Constitution is null and void. I go to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I am so glad and happy that all the time, you know, we could take these people and we could put them out there in their own words, right? Openly, so decent minded people who are not partisan, who are not stuck up, who are not fanatics, you know, could really understand what these people are doing and talking about, right? You know, because these people have a total different mindset of what these politicians are talking about and the way they are putting it out there for the public and the world to listen to them, you know, and to you know, wow, you know, this guy is doing good, you know, and you see that guy and you see that set, that set there,
Evil.
very, very, very evil. Right?
Personification of
We
evil.
see, like you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, how they bastardize our constitution. We see how they're trying to wrap it up and flush it. We see in this country how to every time stupid people like myself, you know, regular, who no got no talent, try to challenge these bright-minded, these smart people for breaking our constitution, for trying to flush our constitution, trying to do like that, dismantle our constitution. to every time stupid people, like one like myself, bring them to test, bring them to court, we see what happened, right? We see what happened, right? Now you see on this last SOE now, no, here you have judges, two of them, different opinion, right? But one along the line that said, no man, I can't look fool like the rest of them. They ignore the Constitution. Because the Constitution, they say X, Y, and Z, so I must rule on that, right? When the other one, for whatever reason, he not care for him name get tarnished or somebody call him out, some other entity or some call him out for not seeing our Constitution as the way it is. Now you hear the Johnny Briseno now, he will have to challenge it. Man, who does that? Right? That's just to show you, like, you know, we don't do this and we don't do no wrong. Right? But the things that we do the right thing. You don't worry about the Constitution because we did derogate the Constitution for 18 years and nobody hold we accountable. Right? So we don't care. We try it again. We going all the way to the CCJ. And with for who money, my people, Mr. Chairman?
It should be out of them.
Payers dollars.
It should be out of their pocket.
So I close this, Mr. Chairman, to say that there should be a law that you hold Johnny Briseno accountable, the Attorney General accountable, the Governor General accountable, the Commissioner of Police, past and present accountable, right? And the rest of heads that help to implicate these illegal acts against the people and nation. That is what I would like to see happen. And I would like to see that what happened when you bring them to task, Mr. Chairman, they do not use not one penny of the taxpayers' dollars to defend their illegal acts. I would like to see them use their own personal dollars to defend themselves for their illegal acts. That's what I would like to see.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Well said.
Thank you too, Mr. Wade.
Let's hear what the commissioner had to say.
He needs to be arrested.
The extension. As he put it, they'll do whatever it takes.
Honestly, while I am lobbying for it to be for 6 months, it will allow us, and the main reason for that, it was based on a threat assessment. And the assessment went from high to critical. And there was a need for us to do something drastically. Hence the reason I was lobbying. I was trying to see if we can put a 6 months in the first instance. But in any case, our strategies have always been on threefold: the prevention, the intervention, and the enforcement strategies. So we are doing all that we can to ensure that we return normalcy to the streets in Belize City.
So why was Roaring Creek chosen? Because no shootings or murders happened in Roaring Creek?
No, like I mentioned, whenever we do or recommend the SOE, it's based on a threat assessment. And the threat assessment in those areas that are affected was at a critical level. Hence the reason they were included.
So do you believe it won't go as long as 6 months, maybe 3 months will suffice?
Like I said, our strategies on the ground is based on the context on the ground. We have a wide continuum of policing strategies available to us. Where on the continuum we'll place the police department depends on what's on the ground.
So the state of emergency is not a policing strategy. It is a blunt instrument of the state to suppress people's right to see a judge.
Like I'm saying, we have a wide continuum of policing strategies available to us. We have a wide from community policing to combat policing. Where we place the police department on that continuum, it's based on the context on the ground. And we will do everything that is possible to return peace, stability, and normalcy to the grounds. Please appreciate that the state of emergency is to allow the investigators to continue their investigation without interruption or hindrance from the gang elements.
Prime Minister said that it's not a state of emergency, but a gang intervention period. This seems an attempt to sanitize what is a suspension of people's constitutional rights. Are you in support of this language, gang intervention period?
it's the police department that has been lobbying for it to be referred to as a gang intervention period.
But sir, that
And
is a bastardization.
we're in support of the gang intervention period.
But sir, that means that it's an illustration that all policing tactics have failed, and we now just have to use the most blunt and crude instrument of the state to just say, pick you up, lock you up, no judge, go.
Like I mentioned, we will do everything that is possible to return normalcy, peace, and stability to the streets in Belize City.
Even at the cost of the rights of persons.
I'm saying that we will do everything that is possible within the context of the law, within the context of the Constitution, to return normalcy to the streets of Belize City.
Wrong man for the job. Send him, banish him to El Salvador.
Now listen to a commissioner of police speaking about the Constitution that they are violating. Would get up on national TV and says the police department and the NSC decided to call it that name. Now imagine. And he's ducking the question. When asked about the constitutionality of it, he's ducking the question, and his only response is, they will do anything they can. Go ahead, Mr. Brackett.
The man failed to understand that as the head lawman, himself and anybody else in the country are not above the law. And somehow he got drunk with that ability to power play that was given to him to become the commissioner and to replace the previous commissioner. He's going to come and try to pretend to be tougher than the previous commissioner, and he will solve all the policing problems, even if it's mean conducting himself in an illegal and scofflaw way. Doesn't he understand that he himself could be charged for violating people's rights? Doesn't he know or understand enough history about law enforcement before he gets to that position of becoming the chief law enforcer to know that people who behave in that sort of manner end up at The Hague if they can't try them in their own country? But according to him, he got so much power and might behind him. Whether he know the laws or not, apparently he doesn't know enough constitution. So I would like one chance later on to address the gentleman. But for right now, all I could say is that the gentleman is acting like a movie character. He feel like that's how this thing is. Cops and robbers game, you go out there and play around with people's lives, and later on, after someone and dead, you come back and see them acting in another movie. That's the infantile mentality that this idiot is projecting out there under the guise that he will do whatever it takes, even if it means breaking the Constitution. He needs to be grabbed and locked down until he comes to his senses. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. But where did that mentality came from? The Buckley?
Cultivated. It's cultivated. It's cultivated within the police department. I could tell you that for sure.
People at home and abroad. Mr. Vasquez from Channel 7 did a genuine quality update on what was happening with the state of emergency. And I will play his tape and I will follow it by what the commissioner had to say, because I want to prove these people wrong. I want to show you, the public at home and abroad, how deceitful these people are.
Evil.
So let's hear what Mr. Vasquez had to say.
Changing the name of something to make it into something else, to me, it's a very sinister indicator of obfuscation. Because my point is that when you say gang intervention period, it's the same thing as a state of emergency, which is a very distorted state to be in. right?
Yes.
Because a state of emergency means that you cannot access your rights under the Constitution, your right to appear before a judge, to hear the accusation against you. And when you change this to a gang intervention period, it concerns me. I understand gang violence, people dying, the communities are bedeviled by it. It's a plague upon our country.
Yeah.
And I understand that extreme people, law enforcement feels that extreme steps need to be taken to end it, to stop it. We've run out of solutions. That's what a state of emergency says. We have no solution.
Nothing's working.
Let's
so-
just suspend these people's rights. Lock them up without access. The problem is that when you change these names and you say it's a gang intervention period, it's an attempt to sanitize it. It's an attempt to tell the world, we are not suspending these people's rights. These are other kind of people. You can't suspend their rights. My problem is that when you start to do that, who are you going to come for next?
That's the
Right?
thing, yeah.
Because eventually you'll change it if you have some pro-right person.
Teacher suppression unit or something.
Teacher suppression or the opposition suppression or the gay intervention period.
Yeah.
When, you know, if you're gay, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that you have to call things what they are, and we have to accept them for what they are. It's a very distorted state to be in, to have a bunch of citizens who cannot access their rights to appear before a judge. Now, let me explain to you the problem with this state of emergency, and these are repeated problems. Make I tell you how it works. They pick up a whole bunch of people and pick up everybody. Then the police start to negotiate. And this is factual. Bring in a gun and I could go home. Now, these are the heads, you know. These are the heads. Bring in a gun. So one bring in a machine gun. Go home. Heads. Next one bring in a 2.9mm. You could go. They told one person, a woman, who is not a part of the current gang conflict, bring in 10 guns. She couldn't bring in 10 guns. So she had to give them a kilo of cocaine. They take that. So now this makes their statistics look great. But whenever you create a gun shortage in the streets, they're going to get it somewhere, brother.
Yeah, they'll find a way.
A man was killed on Friday and his gun was stolen. I don't know the circumstances. I know that he was probably set up. But you have to watch these things, right? Whenever, but it's totally transactional. So the only ones that end up going up on the SOE are the Lee boy there, who nobody ain't give up any gun for, and who no got no gun. When they want a gun, they get a gun from the big man.
Yes.
And the big man never willing to give up a gun or didn't have a gun to give up to get them free. But this state of emergency, as it is being operated, is totally transactional. It is not a state of emergency to say, when pick up everybody and say, no matter what. Then when they pick them up, police get into negotiation with them. You have to give up a gun. And this is when you hear, a gun was found in a bushy area. A gun was put in a bushy area for you all to find. And this has been a practice of the police department from I have been in the media.
Oh, wow.
This is standard operating procedure for the police department, but it's magnified now because this SOE is a threat. So all the heads, up until Friday at least, when there was that other murder, all the heads were safely back home because all of them give up gun. Police look good, then got their statistics. Watch how much weapons seized. Artificial and false. Right?
Interesting.
So I know this factually because I've spoken to people in it. I don't know what, since Friday, the commissioner get vexed because another murder happened and everybody was picked up again, so I don't know who will end up going up. But it is factual that the heads of the gangs avoid SOE detention by negotiating with guns, which is a thing that police invite. Police invite them to do that. it is transactional.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
last words on that. It's good that
So there you go, people at home and abroad. This
Hard,
is why
hardcore facts, like it or not.
the state of emergency is unconstitutional. But to top it off, as I said, I will prove tonight that what Mr. Vasquez is saying is reality. It is the truth. And I will tell you why after the tape is played. Listen to this, gentleman.
First of all, I want to reaffirm our commitment to transparency and upholding the rule of law. Any alleged suggestion that our police officers are lenient with violent offenders is inaccurate, and it's just an attempt, I believe, to disregard the dedicated effort of our police officers and the integrity of operations. Now, many of the firearms that were seized was seized based on the interrogation and on the extensive interview that was conducted with those individuals. And based on those information, then operations were conducted.
Now, gentlemen and people at home and abroad, I personally don't believe him. And I will tell you why. If he is speaking reality, why is Mr. Vasquez not picked up for fake news? Why is Mr. Vasquez not being arrested for spilling what he has just said on the tape? That state of emergency and the action of the police are transactional. I will tell you why. You know why? Because 7 months ago, under the past commissioner, this is what happened.
We didn't get as much as we expected. We got a total of 19 weapons, different calibers, and a number of ammunition. So those were collected and have been submitted as found property and will be sent to the National Forensic Service firearm or ballistic unit for testing.
What has the observation been in the wake of that extended SOE in terms of how the gangs interact with each other at this point?
Well, we do have follow-ups. Brother Nouri is tasked to ensure that he do follow up with them. We want to ensure we have a system where they don't just come out of SOU or we leave them right there. We want to do programs with them. So Brother Nouri and LIU are tasked in ensuring that we do follow-ups and different programs with them. We have a system where they were told that if it is that there is some issue brewing between them and other groups, for them to come forward and let us know, and then we'll step in and do intervention, mediation. I think some of them are very serious about trying to make a change.
People at home and abroad, there you go, kicking the ball further down the road. It's the same scenario. 7 months ago, here we are today. Mr. Vasquez said it was factual. It is a proven fact. I go to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Guys, you know, I 100% agree with what Jules had said. It's factual. I was part of way back then, and that's how they do things, you know, to get what they want, right? But my thing is, you had a former prime minister who negotiated with gang members. Some were even paid by the taxpayers' dollars on a weekly basis. You see now that, you know, you have a minister, you have commissioner of police come publicly, Mr. Chairman, and says, you know, we know who these people are. And You know, there's not a lot of them. And you hear all these things that they said, and these people are still on the street. Mr. Chairman and my people, both at home and abroad, there are laws already in this country, in the books, to deal with people like what we are dealing with now, and the crimes that we are dealing with now. There are laws on the book. A crime is a crime. A crime is a crime, no matter what or no matter who it is. A crime is a crime. But to see the extent, we're talking about illegal SOEs. You know, should that be happening? No, it shouldn't be happening, right? Should other people be subjecting to the games that the politicians and the government and the heads of department are playing, and these people involved? No, innocent people should not be subjecting to these kinds of illegalities, right? And my thing is, right, and all the SOEs have proven not to be working. All of them. And who are causing these things? A little bit of a small little portion of society. And why are these people getting away? And why are these people just got to give up one gun or a kilo of cocaine or you know, to have a repetitious cycle, so that in the next 6 months after this one, they'll come with another SOE, right? Because we see it happening. We see it happening over and over and over. That's just to tell the world and the country that they're doing something about it. Yes, we are passing a state of emergency because the gangs and they get out of hand. Every time the gang they get out of hand. And we see the transactional situation that they mingle with them. And a one set of little negotiators. And a one set of Mr. Nouri Mohammed. What are you doing, Mr. Man? I would like to know who is paying you, Mr. Nouri, right? You should be doing a better job, right? To creating the same scenario over and over. You're part of it. Creating the same scenario. Are the Belizean people getting result? Because we don't care about the result you're getting, or the other, or the commissioner, or the minister. No. We want to know if the people who are being subjecting, if their subjection worth it. But no, obviously it does not worth it, because they keep passing illegal state of emergencies. Can't seems to have the fix. And sadly, the entire police department, the entire BDF, the entire government structure does not seem to have the solution. And the solution, based on whatever that is happening, is so simple, because it's only a small little group of people. And this small little group of people who always come and hand in a weapon and hand in a kilo of cocaine and this and that, they are known. So why are innocent people, again, I know, why are innocent people are being subjected to these kinds of illegal behavior of our leaders? Why? That's my thing. And again, my people, we already have laws in this country to deal with this small little portion of people. Why isn't the laws that we already have, why are these laws not working? Why are they not putting these laws into practice? Why have to go and pass illegal state of emergencies? Why subjecting our people to these kinds of, so that you look good, so they present a lot of kilo of cocaine and so many weapons in front of a table, to every time that's the end result? When innocent lives are being taken and these same people come back on the street because they give you a gun and a kilo of cocaine, and you subject the little ones, them who cannot get a kilo of cocaine or could not get a gun, you subject these little small little fries to what's been taking place with them to every time. And you have the big criminals, which you said it, Mr. Past and Present government leaders. We don't know them. It comes from the very same mouth. We know these people. We are in contact with them. We negotiate with them. I think you all are the problem. Commissioner of Police, the law enforcement, the Minister of Police, the Prime Minister, you're all the problem because you have the powers in your hands to fix it and you all refuse to fix it. That's my point.
Thank you. Thank
Same
you, Mr. Wade. Thank you. Well said. Now, for you, the people at home and abroad, it's sad, but it is a reality because no one wants to be picked up and to be locked up for a certain amount of time when they have committed no crime at all. I mean, the law is put there for each and every one of us, but it must be used in the right way. That is how you deal with crime. So if at any time any one of us wants to step over what is considered the law, we should be held responsible for our action. But I also want to say that even when you committed a crime, a felony, regardless of what it is, let's say murder for instance, when you go and you serve your time and you come out, you still have constitutional right to be protected, equal protection of the law. It never goes away. So sometime when we hear the police department using the word street justice, they are using it in a very inappropriate way towards these young men. And I will hope that they be professional and use different terminology because they took an oath to protect and serve, and they should still be looking after the protection and rights of these young men. But for reality, let's listen to what one of the persons who were picked up have to say.
I spend 90 days for no reason, no charge, nothing. I got my paper, I go send home for my paper. You understand? That cell 2, the multi-max are there. 2 weeks, they take we out, they tap alright, then pepper spray all away. When we gonna tribune, nothing they not gonna fire you. So what we do at prison?
Actually, they say we try to start riot down. We just gone like 3 days. They want to make an example out of we. So then they just come and say we try to start riot. They lock down the whole jail and spray we down one by one. Everybody handcuffed behind. Then in the tribunal, the police they tell the tribunal, the chairman, that I had our gang member, I well known in the streets, all kind of thing. So I tell the man, you do my background when I work hard thing then. Man say we are investigate that right now. I tell them straight. Then they say I get charged, but watch I still do it free.
It's rough, mommy. I tell her, cause end of the day, you're there for nothing, and then you're just there, they have to go through this, with a lot of them young boys, and then a lot of them don't know what they want, cause they gone there at a place there with a raging and Well, I try to get head now, mommy. I want to try open a leaf food business and thing, get on my foot and start do my thing,
So there you go, people at home and abroad. We have presented this topic, state of emergency, here on our platform for about 2 years now. We have been speaking about the bastardization of our Constitution. But to put it in reality, I want to applaud this young lady before I go to you, Mr. Brackett, because she couldn't have said it better and the ruling that came down from the High Court.
It's very comfortable and soft.
All right, Courtney, are you ready to start Couch Talk?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. So, very interesting first topic. So the High Court decision on the 2020 state of emergency has two different rulings, right? So there were 18 claimants in this court case, and basically two decisions that came out from this court
There were
case.
20 in all, 18 for Justice Nabe and 2 for Justice Kuniteleke. And yeah, both justices had different rulings. So Justice Kuniteleke found that the SOE was constitutional. He stated that because of the violence, so he talks about the violence. This was, I want to remind the public that this was also the time when a 5-year-old girl was killed in her home, Kia Herbert. So he was saying that there was just a spate of violence. In that 48 hours, there were 7 people who were killed. And that spate of violence warranted the state of emergency. And so it was constitutional. So he ruled against the claimants.
Yep.
And however, in the case with Justice Nabe, that was the opposite. She said that, and I want to get the exact quote, but she said that it was not constitutional. And the reason she gave, let me find it here. She said, 1 second.
Go ahead.
She basically said that it wasn't, the use of...
It's on the screen, quick.
Okay.
So it says in the circle,
Yeah, in the circumstances based on the evidence before me, it is pellucid that there was no basis for me to conclude that in the south side of Belize City there existed a situation that was likely to endanger the public safety. Then she goes on and says, I find that there did not exist a situation in the south side of Belize City that could not have been dealt with under the ordinary crime-fighting laws. So she was saying there was no reason for that state of emergency. So in her case, the 18 claimants were awarded damages.
Yeah, and some excessive amounts of money too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see two different decisions coming out of the same state of emergency, because both of these were 2020 state of emergencies, and we know that time was difficult. There was all this crime and there was COVID and whatnot. We'll have to see. It's likely that the state will appeal. So this will go to the Court of Appeal and it might end up in the CCJ. So we'll have to see the road that takes. But it's very interesting because we're still having states of emergencies. We are currently in a state of emergency. If it is founded that, if this sets the precedence that, you know, these SOEs are unconstitutional, that opens the door wide open
totally
that all of these persons who have been locked up under SOEs can sue the state. Even those that are currently right now in prison can sue the state if this sets that precedent.
That is true. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to be resolved given these two different judgments, right? So, and as you rightly mentioned, it can set up precedents for other people that have been locked up under the SOE to be able to put claims towards the state.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I believe these people should have a recourse, some way of recourse to fight back, because SOEs in general shouldn't be used as the tool that they're being used as. They go against all human rights. I mean, I understand a lot of Belizeans are of the opinion that, well, they commit crimes. They don't deserve human rights, but that's just not how it works.
That is true.
At the end of the day, everybody has rights. These people are humans. And you can't lock somebody up for months without any charges, without seeing a judge, and then have a tribunal, a hurry-up tribunal at the end of the SOE to see if they were indeed guilty of some crime. You know, it cannot work like that. That's venturing down a very dangerous road into a police state, and that's not what we want. People think that's what we want, but it really isn't. And so for these people to have some recourse, maybe in the future it will give the police department and the government to think twice before just calling a SOE, you know, hurry, and to actually use other means that the police have to fight, you know, these gang crimes.
So definitely. Cordy, let's move on to our next Couch Talk item. And now let's talk about...
Some advice coming from a news reporter, as we have been seeing here on Belizean affairs. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Thank you very much, sir. To start with, we have never said that the police officers should not do their job. That's basically what we have been saying all the way along. Do their job. They're collecting a salary to do the job, and they refuse to go do the job. And then they want to turn around and victimize the very same community by putting an SOE that affects everybody living in the area. But I want to go to something different than that. I don't know if I'll get to talk before the program finish again, so I would like to ask Mr. Chairman if I could stipulate some points of my own perspective quickly before I lose my chance again. And that is to say, this comment is directed specifically in this regards to the new Commissioner of Police, Mr. Rosado. This gentleman seemed to be on a high horse while being power drunk. And the problem is that being on that high horse, being power drunk, will only lead to himself and other people getting hurt. I don't know if he wasn't wrong. Well, I shouldn't say that because I know for a certainty. I shouldn't say it that way. Let me change it. I would say he was wrong when the former Commissioner, Mr. Chester Williams' house was being shot up, and he wasn't at home, so for all intents and purposes, he wasn't hit, or at least his child, who was at home alone, did not become a fatality or a victim, other than being scared with the incident. But who is to tell if that's the same outcome will be when some idiot go after the present or new commissioner? Does he understand what the hell he's doing in that regards? Setting up people to become frustrated to the point where they won't take the law into their hand and try to take their own revenge. That constitutes a breakdown of our society. A law-abiding society cannot tolerate or accept that kind of behavior. So why then should we be allowing the police officers under the color of law to be committing crimes against civilians? That should be intolerable as well. One thing breeds the next. Do your job. Use the current police powers that are embedded in the governance system for policing purposes. Arrest the criminals who most of them you all know and you're negotiating and taking guns from, and then turning them loose again on the society. That's craziness. That's deviousness. As a matter of fact, I would say it amongst the evil. You should not be taking any guns from none of those criminals at that level. In other words, they're not paying with money, they're paying with a gun. They're paying for their freedom while they exercise their freedom to commit mayhem and slaughter, kill other people, innocent people. Why? Because you want a gun. So you're satisfied to take a gun and let the criminal walk free. What kind of stupid policing program is that? That means that the people that are giving the gun are bribing you. That is not adequate and proper policing. So I have to say to Mr. Rosado, sir, I stated once before when I addressed you in regards to your style of management and made reference to the fact that I wish that your doctorate degree would have been in jurisprudence, because you would not be making the stupid statements that you're making out here while trying to pretend and project that you're a tough police officer. You bleed like everybody else. Then people wearing police officers, they go out there and beat down in the ground. For them blood, they in the ground. They holler out. When people want to clear the prison and abuse, as you have just seen and heard the young man when they complain about what they do to them when they are behind there. What kind of stuff only breeds contempt? And when You have the civilians having to be contemptuous of the law. What the hell does the law officers then going to effectively police the society? You cannot be hiding behind the color of law and commit crimes against unarmed civilians. Not everybody in the civilian population would take it up lying down. If you don't believe me, ask the Secretary, the former police commissioner. If you don't believe me, ask the former Prime Minister, Mr. Musa, who's supposed to also start up. If you don't believe me, go back and ask when Mr. Musa is still alive, but I don't think he's lucid enough to be able to tell you. Why is it that we had told the BAF from trying to threaten the president? There's a lot that you don't know. Stop play crazy, stop overreach, do your job. You have the ability to be able to do that job. Even though you don't have a doctorate in student, the doctorate that you have is good enough to qualify you and qualify to the general public that you're someone of substance behind your ears. Use that substance. Give the public and the people what they're due for the salary that you're collecting. Stop play crazy. That's one I want to say. Good night.
Thank you,
very much,
Mr.
Chairman.
Brackett.
Good night, Mr. Wade. Thank you very much for such a wonderful program tonight. I wish these people would get the sense of what the hell they are doing, because the outcome is going to be very tragic.
Before I go to you, Mr. Wade, let's hear what the police department had to say. One of which I personally don't agree with.
It's unfortunate, but more importantly, I think we have two different rulings pretty much almost at the same time. So obviously that would have to be addressed. It will have to be appealed, quite likely maybe all the way up to the CCJ to be able to get clarity. But for us, what's more important, we are moving beyond the calling for a national state of emergency, because it gives the wrong impression when all we're trying to do at that whenever we declare that is to be able to try to see how we can calm things down in the so-called streets where these young men are going after one another and creating havoc and creating a sense of real emergency in the neighborhoods where people live. So we have to find a more effective way in being able to deal that legislatively, but also be able to see how we can deal with these mostly young men, to be able to see how we can get them to move away from a life of crime.
With this landmark ruling, is the government worried that more detainees might try to sue the government? I mean, there's an SOE right now.
Well, that is why it has to be appealed. We will have to be able to get clarity and necessarily go all the way to the CCJ.
Now you heard what the Prime Minister said. This is what police department had to say.
We are meeting as a department to discuss, and we have certainly booked a meeting with the Attorney General to discuss the way forward in light of this new development.
They will meet people at home and abroad. They will meet with the Attorney General, who does not protect the people of this country constitutional rights. I go to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It all speaks out and plays out right in front of your eyes. See what's happening. We said it earlier that this whole situation, how it's going to play out, and you hear it from Johnny Briseno how it's going to play out, all the way to the CCJ. The man never say, Mr. Chairman, and you know what? Well, we made a mistake. This is what the Constitution says, and we abide by the Constitution, right? And we will do it differently, right? It's not going to happen again, right? But did he say that? No, he did not say that, right? So The same way he have us and tell us, oh, well, you know, Mr. Wade and his we attacking him and doing this to him and right. Same way, these people that they have done wrong to, right? That the judge say, you know, you have done wrong to these people, right? And you need to compensate these people for the wrongs that. No, he no see that. The man, that judge talk foreign language to him.
The man no
right?
have no talent. The man no have no talent.
Mr. Chairman, I thank you, I thank you. I thank you to play out these things from these from our leaders. Our leaders, and I hope and pray that the world is watching. I hope and pray the world, the big picture is watching what's going on in this little country called Belize, Mr. Chairman. Right? This little country, and such a small group of I could count them in my hands that are causing havoc repetitiously. So I say with all this, Mr. Chairman, is that these people, I wish and pray, I hope that at some point, they pass some law that these people held accountable, man. I'm talking the evildoers, right? That they held accountable, right? For inflicting such a pain and suffering on the Belizean people that is uncalled for because of such a couple little handful of bad eggs in this country, and which my people and the world, the authorities know this handful of people because they said it. They know who they are, right? But what you see what's playing out again? So sad. Chairman, I thank you for show and tell. I thank you for the the evidence you produce to the nation, that they cannot say that you haul anything out of your back pocket. No, we just emphasizing and to the nation and to the world that these people are doing wrong to the people of Belize. Right?
Thank you.
And
I thank you,
they
Mr.
need to be
Wade.
held in check, Mr. Chairman. At some point in time, these people need to be held accountable.
Mr. Wade, if I may, I would like to say this personally. I have always thought that when it comes to these young men, regardless of the unconstitutionality of them being called gangs, when the Constitution gives you the right to form, to freedom of association, that the outcome would have been different if society had played its role.
Mm-hmm.
And even though many of us as Belizean people have different thinking and ideals about them, some would want to see them rot in jail, some would want to see different things happen to them.
But Mr. Chairman,
I believe
there is laws already in the books to deal with these kinds of people. There are laws in the books.
Mr. Wade, this is what I'm saying, because just maybe after all that has been happening, these young men that are suing the government get their money, crime will go away, and in return, they will spend it in society that will help within our Belizean economy. But not coming from me, nobody could say it any better than Mr. Bradley.
And I beg them publicly here, please all of you when them pick on up and know that in chance go find one lawyer and get one money after it, because you are going to help your country to appreciate the importance of your liberty, your right to be free, your right to be protected under the law, even though in some quarters a few of you have conducted yourself badly. You still have rights. Prisoners have rights. A horse that gets chopped have rights. Animals have rights. So I heard from one of my colleagues today that there were a complaint on one of the local television this morning to say like, they man are bad people and they say lock up in a jail, they don't basically get no money, and so that is a wrong view of what is happening. That we all have our rights. Prisoner who is sentenced to jail for a long time for a serious offense still has rights. You can't take and put him in a hole for 30 days or 60 days. These things are going on as a matter of normalcy. It's like we have no, I don't want to call no name and blame no minister and so on, but what is unlawful, and what is unconstitutional and a violation of people's rights, we must all speak up for that and stand up for that, because this is how a society increasingly loses their rights. The biggest reason for losing your rights is that you don't even know what their rights.
People at home and abroad, that is our show for the night. We have come to that moment where we must depart. But we hope that you will tune in again on Wednesday for our Wednesday night edition. With that says, I go to you, Mr. Wade, for the closing.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure, Mr. Chairman. Leonard, it's always a pleasure to sit in company where on Fridays you educate the people on their constitutional right. And Mr. Chairman, thank you always for show and tell, right? And, to those who appreciate us, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, I thank them. For our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad, and some who will view us later on, Mr. Chairman, I thank them. I thank them for their support.
Mr.
Right?
Rina Forte, Mr. Eric Castillo, and a few other people that I can't.
Good night.
Right now.
Thank you very much. And I just hope, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, that tonight shows that we produce tonight, Mr. Chairman, I hope that it's of some benefit to the public, some benefit. Learn something from us here tonight again. One more time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. With that said,
Mr. Wade, thank you very much again.
I would like to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad.
Nice.
Ancestors, them get glory. After war and fight for this land, today I feel proud for